So what's the Get Down?
Hip hop culture lifestyle show. Where did you grow up?
Well, it's crazy. I was born in Brooklyn, New York.
Yes, sir.
But at the age of 3 going into 4, I moved to Puerto Rico. My mother's Cuban from Santiago de Cuba. Her and my father was wilding out, you know, back in those days, you know. So they separated, and she couldn't go back to Cuba, so we went to Puerto Rico. So I started visiting New York again once I was 10 years old. I started going back, seeing the family. So at summertime was New York, and then the rest of the time was Puerto Rico. So all my education from elementary school to high school was in Puerto Rico. So English is actually my second language.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to. You got me kind of bugging right now because I'm like, where did you learn your English as fluent as you? Because you speak better than people that've been here forever.
But you know, it's crazy because when I was young, and I can't understand why my mom did this. When we was in the house in Puerto Rico, all she spoke was English. Because once you stepped out of the house, everybody was speaking Spanish.
Right.
But out of all her kids, maybe the youngest one, I was a hardhead. You know, my friends was like, your mom is crazy. Your mom only speaking in English in the house. We don't understand what she's saying. And then when we visit New York, she would flip it. In the house, she would speak Spanish. But it's crazy. So for me, what it did was I became very lazy with English. So I didn't want to speak it because at the time, to me, I'm not comprehending that it's cool. That's gonna give me an advantage in the future. So once we moved back to New York, I was in New York for a while. Was playing ball, street ball, then somebody saw me play street ball, asked me what college I played. I was like, yo, I'm in the University of Life, you know? And then they was like, yo, you can get a scholarship, you got a decent game. So I traveled, visit all these HBCUs, and I'm going to Bowie State. So once I was at Bowie State, my second year I get hurt. It's crazy because Division II school, in order to get a full scholarship, they wanted me to play basketball and football.
Oh, wow.
So I got down there, I was 220 pounds, but they beefed me up to 280. And so it was tough. So when I got my injury, that's when it became hard to come down from weight, up from weight, and all of that. So when I was in college, I decided to do radio on the campus because I had a bad leg, couldn't play for a while. And then I started doing TV. So I created a show called Let's Talk About Sports. But at the time, my accent was extremely, like I'm just getting off the boat from Puerto Rico now.
Right.
So you mix New York and Puerto Rican accent, it became a problem. So once I was in college, the person in the chat said, look, I love your personality, I love everything, but your English is horrible. In order for us to you got to take some speech classes. So I started taking speech classes and reading. I got to go back to it now. But, yeah, so I ended up reading around 2 to 4 hours a day, reading out loud and just working on the dialect. So, you know, that's how I was able to catch up on my English. And then my luck is that once I did radio on campus, there was somebody that I knew doing radio, professional, and they saw me. They was like, "You're really good. You should do an internship here." And that's how I ended up getting into radio, as a radio jock, as a radio personality.
So, wait, because I want to go back and touch on Puerto Rico, because don't nobody bang Puerto Rico and Cuba harder than you do. Well, maybe Crazy Legs. All right, Crazy Legs got you beat on Puerto Rico. But what was it like growing up over there, man?
You know, it's interesting because, you know, that's a great question because first thing is we never looked at color.
All right.
Color was never an issue for us. I never heard the N-word. So I came and visited in New York again in 1980.
Dig that.
Never. Like, I didn't even know what it meant. It was all about economics. But imagine it's like 10 degrees warmer than in LA.
Right.
It doesn't get as cold as it get in LA at night. I lived by the beach, so I was technically a beach bum. My job, I was a lifeguard at the beach. Imagine being in your teens and you working at a beach with all the baddest chicks in the world.
Right.
And everybody's in bathing suit, and you
Yeah.
just, it was so cool. It was so different. I tell people, even when I was in elementary school, we used to cut class, and we'll cut class and we'll go to the beach. And I never forget this one time that we all got in the water, we partying, we 5th grade.
Yeah.
We come back, we can't find our clothes. Our clothes is nowhere to be found. Come to find out, the police come and they'll grab our clothes and they'll take your ass wet back to school, and you'll be walking and the minute for everybody wet with your hands in your hands. So then your parents would come, and those are the days that your teacher could put their hands on you, your neighbor could put their hands on you. So everybody put their hands on, put their hands on me. But it was a great experience. It was what was amazing is that I thought everybody in the world was the same. In just in how we greet each other. You when you went to school, you better be there 30 minutes early, because you're going to hug everybody. You're going to give somebody a kiss. You're going to have a conversation. It was never a, hey, what up, and keep it moving. It was like, yo, what up, bro? And we used to tell each other we love each other. And I never forget that when I came back to the States and I saw one of my boys, hey, man, love you. He was like, yo, what's wrong with you? You gay? You like? I was like, nah, you my guy.
Right.
If I say you my friend, that means that I have to be willing to go through shit with you.
Indeed.
If we walk in a place and it goes down, a fight start, I can't be like, all right, man, I don't love you, so I'm gonna be in the car. Tell me when the shit is over with. You know what I mean? You handle what you're gonna handle, and I see you when I see you. So we just, friendship to us was everything. Friendship, family, and friendship is the key. If you go to Dominican Republic, if you go to Latin America, that is the one thing that we all have in common. We have a lot of love for family and friends. Our culture is a culture of love and respect. Economics changes everything, of course.
Indeed.
The more Americanized a place becomes, the more it changes. The more the culture changes. The more the essence of the island is gone.
Right.
I was in Cuba last year. They still like in the 50s. They, in a way, it's good. In a lot of ways, it's bad. I was just in the Dominican Republic 2 weeks ago. They're advancing a lot. And then I was in Colombia, in Cartagena, going to Colombia. I just had a meeting last week. I'm friends with the congressman of Argentina, so I'm going to Argentina. So I visit a lot of countries, and they have what I call genuine joy.
All right.
Genuine happiness. Money doesn't define their happiness. Money just defines the situation that they are in. So when I came to the States, I was surprised because of our minds in the islands, in Latin America, and even around the world. We have a perception about America and how America is and how America is running it, but that's not the truth.
Right.
America is the only country in the world with a dream. Nobody else. Cuba don't have a dream. China don't have a dream. Spain don't have a dream. Africa don't have a dream. Only America has a dream.
Indeed.
And we have all together around the world, we brought in that dream.
Right.
So when you look at there's corruption in the police in Latin America, you don't expect corruption in America because America is the land with the dream.
Right.
People don't understand that's part of the dream. All those things are part of the dream. Finances, part of the dream. Not being harassed by the police, part of the dream. Not out here shooting, bang, bang, everybody well out. That's part of the dream. Being able to own your own house. And the government doesn't come and does possess your stuff. That's part of the dream.
Right.
So the dream is so big, and it sells us so well that we have a perception about what America is, and then it becomes disappointing because it's not what it is. You know, it's people think that, you know, especially as Latinos in the Caribbean, everybody wants to move to New York. You see the Statue of Liberty, 24 hours a day. You see the Empire State Building. You know, you have the stock exchange. You got Midtown Manhattan, Times Square, Central Park. You know, and lights. Fifth Avenue, and lights really attract you. Lights really suck you in. But then they're not telling you that you're gonna live in the hood, paying 10 times what you paid where you lived at.
Right.
You know, and then it's freezing cold.
Yeah.
So imagine you in a place that's freezing cold, you don't know the language, there's a shit, you know, people on top of each other, people attitude. So it's definitely coming to the States was very shocking, very different.
So when you got here, was it more of a thing where you were like, yo, I'm ready to go back, or?
No, because it's still America.
Explain.
There's still an energy, a vibe. You know, I'm in New York City.
I can dig it.
I'm in New York City in the 80s, bro. New York City in the 80s, the 70s. I mean, you cannot beat New York City. You know, you're talking about summer vacations. I actually started crying when I had to go back to Puerto Rico. You know, I really was able to learn the sport of basketball and playing against guys from the projects and guys from wherever. You know, New York gives you so much.
Right.
And then my majority of 90% of my family was in New York at the time.
Right.
So that in itself was like, you know, you got your family. I got to see my pops. I'm hanging out with my pops. I get to the baseball games. You know, baseball is huge for us. You know, I get to go to the Yankees. I'm going to the Yankees game, and the next I'm going to the Mets game, and then I get to go to Times Square. And, you know, Times Square in the 80s, that joint was, you know, all porn and all hustles and all, you know, it was like the worst of the worst, but it was exciting. It was, you know, you had so many, you know, New York gives out free concerts every day somewhere. So the fact that I would come back and tell my friends that I was in New York, I was the guy.
All right.
Oh, you was in New York? Stop playing, for real? Nah, the chicks be like, yo, what up? You in New York? You know, blah, blah. So, you know, that, it gave me a lot of credit.
All right.
It gave me my stripes.
I got you.
This guy really is from New York. You know, this guy really goes out there.
Yeah.
His family is out there.
Right.
So I loved it. And but I think that the hard part was when I moved full time. It's different when you go on vacation somewhere than when you go and you move to that place. So moving was tough because wintertime alone kicked my ass. People don't understand, man. When the hawk comes and you go into the store and you like, oh, it's no way. You know, you gotta shovel snow. You gotta, you know.
Right.
There's so much, you know, snow is pretty when it comes down, but you're not seeing the mud it turns into.
Right.
New York is a city, everybody putting the trash on the sidewalks. You got that shit on top of the snow, and then you got cars that can't pull out, and then you got the trucks piling the snow on top of the car, and then you got the guy coming with the ice, and you got all the salt, and you know, it's, you know, you're in the subway, and the subway takes longer to get there, so you freezing in the subway. Nobody's talking to anybody. You know, you know, you go straight from 85 degrees every day to 35, 40. You like, this shit is for the birds. So yeah, New York, when I moved back, that was when it was tough. But vacations was the best. Best ever.
So you back in New York, all right? So what's I mean, you playing ball, all right? You got hurt. Now you getting down on the radio.
Right. Well, that's by then I'm in D.C. By then I'm in Maryland.
Yeah, I got.
It's funny, right? Cause my Antonio is my name given to me, which is my radio name. So it's funny because I was Tigger's intern. I used to do the basement for BET, and what people did not understand is back then in the early '90s, they were catching on and playing hip hop on the radio stations. DC created the slogan hip hop and R&B. They're the ones that when you came to radio, they'll be like, it's WPGC 95.5, number one for hip hop and R&B. Mm-hmm. So New York being so close, they adapted that. Mm-hmm. They figured out that the radio, the good thing about DC is that BET was in DC. DC was popping. So if you was on the radio in the 90s, you was a star. You was legitimately a star. So the funny part is, I'll never forget my boy would say, hey man, why don't you come and do this internship? And I was like, how much you pay? It's like, nah, you ain't get paid. You know, if you get put on, you get put on. I was like, what do you mean? It's like, come to the meeting. I showed to the meeting. There are 45 interns. I'm like, what the? What's going on here? So so they was like, hey, they call out your name. You're gonna be here on Wednesdays and Thursdays. So I tell my man, you set me up. My man said, calm down. He says, I got you. He says, now I can get you in the building with no problems. You get a code to the door. I don't have to get in trouble for having you in the building. You're in the building. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to start tomorrow. You're going to show up. He used to do overnights, which is 2 to 6 in the morning. And I'm going to teach you the board, and I'm going to teach you how to run it. So now automatically off of day one, I'm ahead of 45 other people.
Right.
Because they're coming in, they sitting down.
Yeah.
So in one day, I learned what people going through in a month, 2 months. Mm-hmm. And then I did my internship in promotions. Mm-hmm. So when I'm in promotions, I realized that it's not the radio personalities that really they can't get you no tickets. People think that the guy that talks on the radio can be like, hey, get these tickets. It's the promotions department that had all the t-shirts, all the CDs, all the hookups. I was like, oh, snap. I need to figure out how to pimp this. I promise you. So when I was an intern, one thing I always said, and I carry this with me now, is that I always ask for advice and don't ask for favors, especially when I first meet you. And if you don't give me an advice, you just straight up an asshole. If I ask you for advice and you too good to give me advice, whoever you are, you're an asshole if you cannot do it. But I know that if I ask you for advice, you have to know that I'm giving you your respect. I'm saying that whatever knowledge you're going to give me, that knowledge is going to help me out to get to where I want to go. That's all I need you to get me. So when I see you down at the road, I'm going to be like, yo, thank you for the fruits, for the seeds that you gave me, because I took some of your seeds and I planted them. So what I did, I used to go to every jock, every person used to be like, hey, what would I asked somebody, I used to say, what's the greatest advice you could give me? And Donnie Simpson, which it was, the guy video show, he was doing the morning show, he was like, whenever you get a name, whenever you get that radio name, you got to own it. You're going to go take your $20, you're going to buy your name and own it. Because trust me, you want that. Cool. So when I finally got the name, Tigger gave me the name Antonio. A demon who was also doing BET was like, well, Antonio's too plain, you Cuban. So he was like, Antonio, the Cuban Moroccan player. Nah, we're not doing that. Antonio, the Cuban dancer. No, we're not doing that. Then he was like, I got it. We're going to go gangster on these people. Because you have to understand, back in 1993, 94, you can't say cigars on the radio.
Is that right? So
it was like Antonio, the Cuban cigar smoker. Everybody was like, that is so gangster. So meanwhile, the reason they gave me a name, because there was this song that used to be like, yeah, baby, I like it. So Tigger used to hate playing it. So, but they forced you to play. So he used to be like, yo, I need you to call and request it, so say your name is Antonio. So for some reason, we just ended up doing a skit, and it came out super funny. In the next meeting, because we had to go to the jock meetings too, they were like, yo, did y'all listen to the Tigger show last night? Whoever that guy, the pro director said, whoever that guy Antonio is, if he doesn't call, I need to make an announcement like, Antonio, we need you to call. Right? So Tigger's like, we don't have to go through that. He's like, why? Because there he goes right there. So as an intern, I was started to doing skits on the radio. So now I'm really ahead of everybody. Right? So in my mind, it's like, in order for me to win, I gotta out-hustle everybody. I asked somebody else for advice. I was like, you want everybody to know your name, and when your name is mentioned, it got something positive to say. So I used to go around everybody, sales department, gospel station, older stage, 20, 35 and up. And I used to introduce myself, and I used to come through and used to ask them, do you need help? Do you need... And then the DJs, there was this DJ called DJ Tracy, my girl, she just won a Grammy. She's in Miami, she DJs for Madonna now.
Congratulations.
And I used to come and I used to wait for her in the parking lot because I knew at 12 o'clock she'd show up and she'd do the mix. Back then it was crates. It was no laptop, it was no CD, it was somebody with their crates. I used to be like, listen, you need help every day. So happened she was the assistant music director. So she started teaching me things in the music room. She started breaking down records. What's a P1? What's a P2? What's a P3? So I started soaking up, getting all this stuff that at the end of the summer, I was the only person not that hired. Well, actually, me and another guy, they hire us. And I'll never forget, my first year in radio, I made $7,800. And you can tell me I didn't make $780,000 because it was a dream job. The perks was tremendous. I was still on campus. So imagine going to class and somebody say, yo, is that you on the radio? Because it sound like you. Right. You're like, yay. So now you're like, oh, so I'm already popular in school. Now I'm on the radio station in a city that radio is like you a movie star. Right. So, man, me going to class was like, yo, the honeys, it was like, you couldn't write a better script for me. So, radio was a blessing. But what I did was I stayed hustling. The key is if you want to get to where you want to go, people got to get to know you. At the end of the day, that's what the business is. It's even in the acting business. People got to know this is so-and-so, he a cool dude. So my thing was, not only am I on the radio, when I show up to anything, I'm not going to get in the line. I go to restaurants, eat for free with the crew. Then I started hosting the clubs, became the top MC in the clubs. Started hosting Spanish clubs, go-go clubs, hip-hop clubs. Nobody was doing that trifecta. Nobody was able to do that. So then I ended up doing one of the biggest things happened is I always know how to follow direction. And my boy was hosting Love Nightclub, which was the biggest club at the time. Now, if you did Love Nightclub, you was the #1 MC in D.C. Before that, if you was doing Republic Gardens, you was the #1 MC. Because this is the baddest party. So I never forget, this club is 4 levels. This club had 10,000 people every Friday night. People from New York, Baltimore, Delaware, Philly, North Carolina, everybody went here. It's #1 club in the East Coast. I'll never forget, we used to complain to our program director because every Friday there was a performance. So Busta Rhymes, LL Cool J, Beyonce, everybody. But there was no host. So we went to the person and said, look, man, we already got somebody broadcasting live from there. Let's get an MC in there. So the program director talks to the guy, Mark Bonds, which is the number one promoter in D.C., and he says, I got good news and bad news. He said, Mark Bonds said he's going to let one of y'all host the club. Who wants to host it? So everybody in the room got their hands up. He says the bad news is he's not paying no money. Everybody's hands went down, and I brought my second hand up. And it was like, they're not paying no money. For 2 years, I hosted the stage with a live performance. Because understand, it's still the number one club. It's still 10,000 people. Even though that live on the radio at the time, I'm on the stage introducing every single act of the number one club. So every hip-hop artist, whoever was from 2002 to 2012, I introduced them. But we backstage, we kicking it. They know I'm on the radio. You know, you parlay, you doing everything.
Indeed.
And I never forget the guy that was doing the live broadcast, boy, he decides he gets somebody offer him a gig to go overseas to host for 4 days. And one of those days was Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And I was like, yo, you shouldn't take off. Man, I'll be back. So my man was like, yo, I want you to do the hosting. Can you host? Can you do both? I was like, heck yeah. So I came in and I killed it. My man came back and they was like, nah, we're going to give the job and the money to Homeboy. And then from there, I just knew that, you know, I was doing a club called Club U, which was the number one go-go club at the time. I was doing Bravo Bravo. So imagine I went from making $600 a night, so automatically they had to pay me $1,200 a night. Mm-hmm. And then to being booked every single night. And then Fridays you making $3,000 a night. Saturdays you making $5,000 a night. Mm-hmm. And you just showing up to places. So, but it's the hustle. Mm-hmm. You know, I built the name. It's the hustle. I hit the pavement. I went to every basketball tournament. I went to every school and did career day. I get on the mic where there was nobody. You know, we knew DC is like New York. They got concerts in the summertime. I volunteered to host all of them for free. This free is what shows me that I want to do something. I'm in the actor business now. I'm willing to act for free because I know what it did for me in radio. Plus, I really love it. It's not like I'm on set and I'm like, shit, we here for 8 hours, 12 hours. I think that you have to be able to love that. You have to be able to, and I'm in a situation in my life now that everything I do is because I love it. I'm not, you want to make that money, but I'm going to tell you something. This is wild. Last weekend, not this one, the one before. I went to the football game, Chargers. So I was with Chris Paul is my guy from Arizona. His brother they got a suite there. So we go to the suite. And next to the suite is a comedian, a well-known comedian who also just finished, I'm not going to say his name, but you should know who he is when I tell you that. He just won a big lawsuit against Comcast. He was a comedian. He got his own thing. But this guy got a big suite. And in his suite, it was just his 2 kids and himself and his wife. And I was like, and the suite full of food and everything. You have a suite that nobody will pay. Nobody has to pay. That you can, every game call somebody be like, yo, come on and eat on me. You're already paying for it. And he doesn't have one friend. And I definitely realized that I don't want to be miserable like that. Like, I don't want to be the guy. No friends.
That's real, though.
No nothing. That's you and your money. So I know the money is gonna come. I know everything's gonna come. But you know, but it's gonna be for what I love. Because that's what I'm gonna put my time and my hustle for. I'm not gonna put my time and hustle for anything else. You know, when I got to LA, I got offered to be on the radio out here. I turned it down. They called me like this. I was like, guys, I'm not out here for that hustle. That's not my hustle. Mm-hmm. and I understand it, but I don't want to be frustrated 6 months down the road. Because when I left Freddie, I left frustrated. So I don't want to be 6 months down the road like I don't want to do this shit no more. So it's like I'm gonna pay my dues of doing what I love.
Dig that. So
That's
when you left DC, what did you get into?
So it's crazy because I in 1999, I'm gonna tell you how crazy this story is. So in 1999, I knew I wanted to be an actor.
All right.
But now I have worked so hard in radio that I'm building. My name is growing, and the money is growing. You fast forward to 2008, right? No, 2009, almost 2010. I get invited to a school to do speech for the kids. Now, back then, what I used to do is, I used to have a speech called Keeping It Real. I took all the nonsense that we did, that we considered keeping it real, and I explained to them and broke down to them what keeping it real really is. I'll never forget, I'm walking down the hallway into the car. This young lady said, Mr. Antonio, can I talk to you for 2 seconds? I said, sure. She said, I want to thank you for your speech. Oh, not a problem. She says, no, you don't understand. Last year you came to my school and you gave us this speech you gave today. I was in middle school. I told myself when I was going to high school, I'm not going to go to school. My mom is in the street. My mom is on drugs. Don't know who my father is. People in my community are selling their bodies. They see. I walk out every day and the drug dealers downstairs. There was no life for me, so I was practically giving up. But when I heard your speech, I realized that there's more to life than what I see, and that I need to start giving these excuses, and I need to keep it real with myself. So I felt like if I wanted to live, I had to keep it real with myself, and you provided that to me. I went to my car, and I sat there and cried for 45 minutes. 2 reasons why. That God put me in a situation, I was in a situation to be able to give somebody some words or somebody to make a positive change in their life. And number 2 is, for the past 11 years before that, I've been lying to myself because even though I'm doing radio, it's not what I want to do. So I wasn't keeping it real with myself. So at that moment, every moment going to work was frustrated, and I started asking God, I started praying, putting in the universe, what do I need to do to get out of this? It's got to help me out to get out of it. I'm caught up in the chicks, the parties, the money, the popularity, the this and that, but this is not what I want to do. How do I get out? So in 2014, when I went to sign my contract, I'll take you back to the beginning. Remember what Donnie advised me. When they wanted my contract, I used to do a celebrity golf tournament. And I did it myself without the help of the radio station because at first they didn't want to help me. So I have such a good relationship with celebrities that they'll show up for free, but they will charge the radio station $10,000 to show up. Then they wanted to partner up with me, and I was like, nah. So the relationship became sour. The name of the tournament was Antonio Cuban Cigar Smoker Celebrity Golf Tournament. So when we went for the contract, one of the stipulations that they wanted was for me to give up the rights to my name. See, because once I had the rights to my name, when we advertise it, I was able to advertise it even on the competitive radio station. They had a problem that the other station is talking about my event. So they were like, well, you have to give it. So I was like, I'm not giving up the rights to my name. So you telling me I'm going to sign this whack contract. I'm going to get you could get rid of me, and I don't even have my name. So I'm starting back from zero. So I was like, nah, let's do something. Let's hug this thing out, and I'm out. Oh, are you really leaving? No, I'm leaving. I'm not giving y'all my name. Like, what are y'all smoking? So 30 days later, boom, I'm getting ready to move to New York, trying to figure things out. My mom gets a heart attack. Go to New York, grab my mom. I was blessed to buy her a dream home that she wanted in D.C., in Maryland. 4 years of my life, the best 4 years was taking care of my mother. It allowed me to find myself, regroup myself, understand my purpose, understand my responsibility, understand the value of my name, the value of me, the value of my existence in this world, and the responsibility that I owe to my family and to myself that is greater than me. And it becomes hard. It becomes hard when you're at a point, because when you're at a point when you're smelling yourself, when you're trying to make a transition, it cannot happen like you want it to happen. Because you're caught up in that bubble, whatever it is. So I have to take Antonio certain things about the guy on the radio and put them on the shelf. And there's certain things that work for me from relationship and stuff like that. But in order to succeed, I gotta go back to being uncomfortable. Because when I get comfortable, you lay back, you chill, you don't do nothing. So it's hard in LA because a lot of people are comfortable. So the best thing is came out here and be uncomfortable. I knew Bentley Evans for 16 years. His brother has been my entertainment lawyer. I created a TV show called A Good Cigar Is Like. We actually sit with a network. We are 95% in. We're working numbers out and stuff now. That's even crazy in itself because I created a show called Food Porn 5 years ago. And I was like, man, I wonder if I could create a TV show. And I pitched it to the TV station, and they stole it. And when the biggest blessing I got out of that is like, I have the creative mind to create something. Because nobody steals something for you and put it on TV if it's not good. Regardless if it's one season, half a season, to be able to take it from you and just put it on the tube, that said a lot for me, which gave me my confidence to come out. So I'm out here, I'm grinding, I've done some shows, do my acting class, pitching my show, writing other shows. I got, right now I got 5 shows that are going back to back to back to back. It will help me out a lot as being a creator, being a producer, and just working on my talent and just being happy, man. Just genuinely being happy, meeting guys like yourself, being around the Russells, being around the Bentleys, my boy Rip. I got friends that are doing well, and you always want to be around that. But I also had a plan when I came out here. I had structure. And not that everything goes by plan, but when you have structure, you have direction. You have directions, you're gonna end up somewhere. If you go right now on Waze, and you say to Waze, take me to Encino, California, it's gonna drop you off in Encino, but it's just gonna drop you off in the middle of Encino. But if you tell Waze, drop me off at such and such address, it's gonna take you there. So it's the same thing, same concept. If you want something, this is what I want, you're gonna get there. So you have to work to get to where you say you're going to go. So I'm working and getting to my destination.
Dig that.
So, it might take a week, it might take a year, it might take 10 years, but I'm gonna get to my destination because I'm happy in my journey to my destination. And I just know that I'm going to get there. I know that I'm going to arrive. I know that it's going to happen. I think everybody knows, you feel it, you have to put it out there, and it's funny, because when you start putting things out there and you start putting in the work, and you just started seeing things coming, and you're like, wow, you know what I mean? So, yeah, I'm just out here grinding, man. I'm just out here excited, man. Excited to get to the next level. Excited that I know great people. Excited that I'm alive, man. And I tell people, if for some reason I don't make it tomorrow, just know that I was happy.
Dig that.
Don't cry. You got to be like, yo, this dude was happy. This guy woke up happy, went to bed happy. You know, I don't have baby mama problems. I don't have a baby mama. You know, I don't have kids problems. You know, I don't have kids robbed or being robbed or being bullied or, you know, all those things. Having kids, I see my friends. Stress comes with that. You know, when you're responsible for another human being, you know, keep the lights on. You know, I can sleep in my car if I want. Not that's going to happen, but my responsibility is me, and I'm happy with it. Mm-hmm. I'm joyful with it. So I'm in search of the ultimate happiness.
Dig that. I told y'all he was gonna say a bunch of shit. So
whole bunch of shit.
But
I'm on that brainwash, full rollout, anonymous, underplayed or overplayed, strategic, I promise. More dope brings more Negroes, watch them heroes, pro lethal, dream killers feast on people, Nubians in need, mine on the hunt. Paul Bear, sharp fluid gates and piston bumps, no excuses, that's a sin. Back to the begin, muscle memory, pseudo respect and revenge. Plays blindfolded, a bucket list with interest, forgiveness, the shadows and mirrors who handle business. Legacy, all grind, no guest list. Land in jurisdiction, make your bread prejudice. For the purists and the tourists, cue sticky for ghetto jurors. Swing high, swing low, you forgot that we do this. Bank selection, smooth DR vibe. Underground icon, you have now been gentrified.